Alright, check it out, little bro. You ever wonder why your paycheck vanishes the second it hits your account? Yeah, it's not just you. The whole country is basically a slow-motion dumpster fire, and mom and dad's generation is about to get seriously burned. The reason you're constantly exhausted, no matter how many hours you pull, and why everything just feels broken, it's because the whole system is quietly short-circuiting. Get this, over 63% of people in this country couldn't even handle a $500 surprise bill. Over 37 million are officially living in poverty, and almost half of all seniors are terrified they're going to outlive their savings. This isn't just a rough patch, man. This is the foundation cracking, and it's not some future problem. It's happening right now. So, I'm gonna lay out 10 messed up signs that prove normal life in America is imploding, and the kicker is, there's no easy escape hatch. Okay, number 10. The banks have officially turned on us. Yeah, let's just rip the band-aid off and say what no one wants to. Your bank is not your buddy. In fact, they've low-key become the main villain in your financial life. That little local branch where you proudly deposited your first paycheck, the one where you guys started your savings accounts for college, where the manager knew your name and it felt like you were a real person. Forget it, that place is a ghost. Underneath all the slick new logos and flashy apps is a machine built to drain you, not help you. In 2023 alone, American banks siphoned over $11.5 billion from people with overdraft and bounced check fees. They literally profit from you being in a jam. And it's not just people who are broke. They're nickel and diming retirees to death with maintenance fees and random service charges. And these insane overdraft traps that can suck money from all your accounts in a blink. You think your cash is safe? Dude, go look at your statement. Tons of people over 50 are seeing their accounts get smaller and smaller, not because they're buying stuff, but because the bank itself is eating it. And it gets so much worse. JP Morgan Chase just gutted its teller staff in over 400 branches, which means older folks who actually need to talk to a person are stuck with ATMs and apps that just send you in circles. Seriously, try getting a human on the phone when your Social Security deposit is 2 days late. Have fun with that. But meanwhile, their rich clients get personal bankers, no fees, and VIP service. We're living in a two-class banking system now, one for the wealthy, and one where you basically have to pay a subscription fee just to be poor. Almost a quarter of Americans over 55 are using credit cards just for basic survival, racking up insane debt to get gas or prescriptions, while the interest rates are hitting 22% or even more. And if you miss a payment, there's no let's work something out. It's just fees, collectors, and a wrecked credit score. So, if you're wondering why your savings aren't growing, it's because the same institution that was supposed to help you build a life is now systematically taking it apart, one bogus fee at a time. This isn't banking, man. It's like financially sanctioned cannibalism, and they're doing it right out in the open, hiding behind some dumb slogan. The collapse isn't just some abstract thing you see at the gas station, it's happening inside your bank account. Every single month, bleeding people dry who played by all the rules their entire lives. Number 9, the Great American. I don't give a crap. It's like a national mood. You'd ever just look around and feel like nobody cares anymore? Like we're all just sleepwalking through our lives, totally checked out. That's not people being lazy. That's a symptom of the system breaking. We're watching this massive shift in how Americans think, this quiet, numb burnout that comes from hustling for years with no reward, being mad about stuff that never changes, and just getting nothing for your effort. People are exhausted. I'm not talking need a nap tired. I'm talking soul-level tired. And it's pretty obvious why. A Gallup poll from 2024 found that 67% of working people feel totally disconnected from their jobs, their neighborhoods, even their own families. And that number shoots up to 73% for people over 50. You know why? Because they tried everything. They voted, they protested, they wrote to politicians, they called their senators, they changed careers, they downsized their houses, they canceled cable, they used coupons, they sold their junk on eBay, they got side hustles, they ate ramen noodles, and nothing freaking changes. Your paycheck stays the same, prices go up, your health insurance costs a fortune, and the same clowns who broke the system just keep getting richer. So what happens? People just stop. They stop making plans. They stop having dreams. And when a whole country gets to that point, when tons of people start believing that nothing they do matters, the collapse isn't coming. It's already settled in. This isn't apathy because life is good. This is apathy because life has beaten the crap out of you. Even just listen to how people talk now. Ask someone about the economy or politics, and you hear the same tired lines. It is what it is. What are you going to do? That's just how it is. That's a defense mechanism, dude, and it's super dangerous because when everyone stops believing things can get better, we lose way more than just money. We lose all our forward motion. Progress just dies. And the people in charge, they love it. A population that has given up is a population you can easily control. So if it feels like nothing is ever getting better, it's because the system has successfully convinced you that caring is a waste of energy. And once people stop caring, the breakdown becomes permanent. Not because we lost a fight, but because we were all too damn tired to even show up. Number 8, the rise of the secret poor. The people who are working their butts off, but are totally broke and ashamed to admit it. No one ever mentions this group, but they're everywhere. They don't look homeless. They're not asking for money. They have a job, sometimes 2 or 3, but they are drowning, and they are hiding it. This is the new American reality, the silent poor. People who make just a little too much to get any help, but nowhere near enough to actually live. And the shame is a killer. We're talking about people who used to be solidly middle class, they own homes, had families, were looking at retirement, and now they're skipping dinner so their grandkids can have a decent meal, pawning their parents' wedding rings to fix the car, or cutting their pills in half because the copay went through the roof. According to a recent Pew Research study, almost 38% of Americans who make between $55,000 and $100,000 a year say they have trouble paying their bills each month. Just let that sink in. People making what's supposed to be good money are barely keeping their heads above water, and they don't breathe a word of it to anyone. They don't get food stamps. They're too embarrassed to admit they're late on the mortgage. They won't go to a food pantry because they still have to put on a nice shirt for work every day. But they are completely, secretly, devastatingly broke. And it's not their fault. The price of literally everything, rent, power, insurance, food has skyrocketed, but actual pay has basically flatlined for 20 years. We're not talking about some small fringe group here. We're talking about millions of regular people who did everything they were told to do. They saved, they worked hard, they paid their taxes, they followed the stupid rules, and the game was still rigged against them. And the worst part is, they're invisible. The politicians don't talk about them. The news just shows stereotypes. Sometimes even their own kids don't know how bad things are, because on the outside, they look okay. But behind closed doors, it's all maxed out credit cards, shut-off notices, ignoring doctor's appointments, and just staring at the ceiling all night. This is why the whole American dream collapsing is so brutal. You can't see it. It hides right out in the open, and it shoves people into a corner, making them too proud to ask for help and too ashamed to admit they're failing and way too scared to make any noise. This is more than just being poor. It's like being kicked out of your own economy. And it's happening to your neighbors, the guy you work with, your friends. And yeah, maybe even you. Number 7. Going bankrupt for medical bills is basically the new retirement plan. I'm not kidding. You can do everything right your entire life, pay into Medicare, never smoke, and one bad diagnosis can still wipe you out completely. So yeah, that's how fundamentally screwed up the whole system is. Back in the day, the whole point of getting old in America was to finally chill out. You know, play with the grandkids, pretend to know what you're doing in a garden, maybe take a cruise. Now, getting older is just a high-stakes game of risk management. Because one slip in the shower, one bad-looking scan, one trip to the ER can completely vaporize your entire life savings. Over 65% of all bankruptcies in this country, yeah, they're because someone had the audacity to need a doctor. And here's the kicker. More than half of those people had health insurance. Let that sink in. We've literally built a system where paying for insurance doesn't actually insure you against financial annihilation. A colonoscopy with a biopsy. In a lot of states, that can set you back over $5,000 out of your own pocket. A single trip to the emergency room for chest pain, even if it turns out to be just bad, heartburn can hit you with a $12,000 bill. And Medicare? Dude, it's better than nothing, I guess, but it's a joke. Most old folks are absolutely floored when they find out it doesn't cover seeing, chewing, hearing, or someone to take care of you when you can't get out of bed. So, what do you think? Choose through your savings faster than anything when you're in your 70s and 80s? Yep, all that stuff. According to some Finance Bros 2024 report, the average couple hitting 65 is going to need more than $315,000 just to cover medical stuff. And that's not even counting a nursing home. And that price tag just keeps going up. The cost for an assisted living spot has shot up 19% in just the last couple of years. A lot of those places are charging over $6,000 a month for one person. So what's the grand plan for most people? There is no plan. People are just quietly raiding their 401 case, selling off grandma's old furniture, moving in with their kids, putting off surgeries, or just suffering. I've literally seen seniors skip their heart meds so they can pay property taxes or have to choose between a breathing machine and getting their car fixed. It's not just sad, it's systemic neglect by design. Other countries treat healthcare like a right. Here, it's a trip to the casino, and the older you get, the more the house wins. So if you feel like you're walking on financial eggshells every time your chest feels a little funny or you spot a new mole, you're not crazy. You're just trying to survive in a country where getting old has become a slow-motion financial emergency. All right, number 6 on the why everything is a dumpster fire list. The country's infrastructure isn't just getting old, it's actively falling apart. You don't really think about it until your water is brown or the power goes out, but America's entire physical foundation is literally crumbling. The roads, the bridges, the water pipes, the power grid, all of it was built in a totally different century, for way fewer people, and now it's all being held together with duct tape and prayers while politicians just argue about whose fault it is. And I'm not just talking about a few potholes anymore, we're seeing catastrophic failures that are messing with everyday life. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave our whole infrastructure a C- on its last report card, and honestly, they were being nice. Over 220,000 bridges in this country are listed as being in bad shape. We lose more than 6 billion gallons of clean drinking water every single day because the pipes are ancient and leaky. Whole towns are still dealing with lead in their water, and the EPA is just playing an endless game of whack-a-mole. We've already seen what happens when the grid just gives up. You remember Texas back in 2021? Hundreds of people died, and the power was out for days. And that wasn't a one-time thing. Power companies in California can now just legally shut off your electricity whenever they want if they're worried their own ancient power lines might start a wildfire. You heard me. You can lose power now because the grid is too pathetic to handle a windy day. And don't even get me started on public transit, especially for older people who can't drive. Bus routes are getting axed. In smaller cities, trains are running late if they run at all, and the elevators in subway stations have been broken since 1998. The people who depend on this stuff, a lot of them old, disabled, or poor, are basically being left stranded in communities that have stopped working for them. This isn't some dystopian future I'm describing. It's happening right now in places like Jackson, Mississippi. People there have gone for weeks without water that's safe to drink. In Baltimore, raw sewage literally floods the streets every time it rains hard. And in way too many towns, the streetlights burn out and just stay dark. You're paying more in taxes than ever, but your own city looks worse and worse every year because the money's going anywhere but where it's actually needed. We are living in a country that is way too rich to look this poor. And every day we wait to fix it just makes the final bill even bigger. Infrastructure doesn't just collapse overnight. It rots slowly, and then one day a bridge just gives way, a pipe bursts, a dam breaks, and everyone on the news pretends to be shocked. Okay, number 5. Crime isn't just going up, it's become a new part of your daily routine. There was a time when locking your doors at night was just, a sensible thing to do. Now it feels like you're barricading a fortress for the night. And the wildest part is that nobody even really talks about it anymore. Everyone's just accepted it. They've adapted. But seriously, we're not just seeing more crime, we're seeing chaos become the new normal. According to the FBI's latest numbers, sure, maybe some violent crime is technically down, but property crime and those organized smash and grab rings are absolutely exploding. Big chains like Target, Walgreens, and Nordstrom have straight-up closed stores in working-class areas, not because they weren't making money, but because they literally couldn't stop people from walking out with everything. And this isn't some kid shoplifting. It's coordinated. They film it. They post it online. We're seeing literal flash mobs clear out entire stores in 90 seconds flat and vanish before a single cop shows up. And even when they do get caught, charges get dropped, bail gets waived, cases get pushed back forever. It's just catch and release all day long. In the meantime, homeowners are dropping $3,000 on camera systems just to feel a tiny bit safe. Car thefts are up 34% in cities, and they're climbing in small towns, too, especially with older cars that don't have all the fancy anti-theft tech. And porch piracy, people stealing packages right off your doorstep, has gotten so routine that Amazon's brilliant solution is to offer delivery straight into your garage. Just think about that. A trillion-dollar company is solving crime by getting a key to your house. And for the elderly, it's terrifying. Old people are getting targeted for scams, for break-ins, and for just random violence, not because they have money, but because they're an easy target. In Philly, a 71-year-old woman got pistol-whipped in the middle of the day just walking to the store. In L.A., an 84-year-old man was beaten for his watch while he was unloading groceries. These stories don't even make the national news anymore, because it's not news. It's just what happens now. And that creates something way worse than fear. It creates resignation. You just stop going for walks after dark. You stop answering calls from numbers you don't know. You stop leaving your house at all. And that's the real damage. It's not just broken laws. It's a completely broken sense of trust. Because when you can't trust your neighbors, your justice system, or just the person walking towards you, what the hell is left? Number 4, the whole idea of community is dissolving and nobody seems to notice until it's completely gone. You want to know one of the saddest signs of a society circling the drain? It's not just the boarded up stores or insane prices. It's the fact that nobody knows their neighbors anymore. All those little things you used to just assume were part of life, knowing the name of the guy next door, seeing someone you know at the grocery store, a neighborhood barbecue on the 4th of July. All of that is just vanishing. And nobody mentions it because I think we're all embarrassed to admit what we've let disappear. Social isolation in America is now considered a legitimate, full-blown public health crisis. The U.S. Surgeon General put out a report in 2023 saying that chronic loneliness hits almost 50% of American adults. And listen to this. The damage it does to your health is the same as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. But here's the twist. It's not just a bunch of lonely people. It's a lonely country. You can walk through a giant crowd, get through your whole workday, even live in a jam-packed apartment building, and still feel completely and utterly invisible. Churches are closing down like crazy. 4,500 of them shut their doors in 2022 alone, and it's happening even faster now. Local groups like the Rotary Club, Elks Lodges, even the VFW halls are pretty much ghost towns. You don't hear about neighborhood potlucks anymore. So you see those neighborhood Facebook groups, right? They're just a cesspool of complaints, and if anyone actually tries to hang out, it's some soulless, corporate-sponsored thing. You get to pay $35 for a quote-unquote community event in a lobby that smells like bleach, with security guards eyeing you and a table full of branded tote bags. That's not a community, dude. That's a sad little theme park. And it really messes with the older folks. They remember a time when you could ask a neighbor to help you shovel snow, or watch your cat without immediately getting a Venmo request for their time. That's a fantasy world now. People are paranoid about opening their front door. Retirees who live by themselves are way more depressed, and even the ones in assisted living are surrounded by people, but can go days without a real conversation. Our front porches have been replaced by phone screens, and our friendships have been replaced by apps. And here's the stone-cold reality check. When a storm knocks the power out, when crap really hits the fan, a TikTok dance isn't going to save your life, a neighbor is. But if you don't even know the name of the person living 10 feet away from you, you're already screwed. That's what's so messed up about this whole thing. It doesn't happen with a big bang. It's a slow fade, and by the time you realize something is missing, you can't even remember what it felt like to belong anywhere. Number 3. The system has officially stopped pretending to be fair, and that pretty much changes the whole game. The rules aren't just bent anymore, man. They're openly, shamelessly rigged. And the system doesn't even have the decency to lie about it. In 2025, we're just watching. The last shreds of the American dream illusion get tossed in a dumpster fire. If you've got money, you can do whatever you want. If you're broke like us, you get penalized for just existing. You can feel it everywhere. Some CEO on Wall Street can literally vaporize billions of dollars, torch a retirement fund, get a taxpayer bailout, and still walk away with a 7-figure bonus. Meanwhile, you're a day late on rent and you get blasted with a late fee, a hit to your credit score, and a scary letter about getting kicked out. This isn't some accident, it's how the whole thing is designed. Check out how they handle taxes. According to some report from Syracuse University in 2023, people with low incomes are 5 times more likely to get audited than millionaires. You know why? Because we're an easy target. We can't afford a team of slick lawyers to fight back. But when a massive corporation gets caught breaking the law, poisoning a river, or stealing wages, it's a slap on the wrist. A fine that's less than their coffee budget, a settlement where they don't have to admit they did anything wrong. But a teenager swipes some allergy medicine from CVS and gets a criminal record for life. You see what I'm saying? Justice has a price tag, and the older generation feels that betrayal big time. A lot of them went to war, paid off their houses, saved their money, and played by the rules their whole lives, only to wake up and find out the rulebook was completely rewritten behind their backs. Their retirement funds got gutted, pensions vanished, and Social Security is on the chopping block by the same politicians who give tax breaks for private jets. And don't even get me started on disaster relief. A wildfire torches a regular, working-class town, the government sits on its hands for weeks. A hurricane floods some ritzy coastal neighborhood, emergency money is on its way before the water even goes down. You don't need a conspiracy board to figure this out, it's just pure greed, right out in the open. And it makes everything toxic. You lose all trust, you stop voting, you stop paying attention, you stop believing in any of it, because you know the game is rigged. You can't win unless you're rich, or connected, or both. And when millions of us all decide at the same time that fairness is a complete joke, that's when things get really ugly. When the system doesn't even fake that it cares about you, you stop caring right back. And that's the real collapse right there, the death of hope. Once that's gone, whatever comes next is going to be bad. Number 2, the trust between generations has been completely torched, and it's ripping the country in half. There used to be this kind of unspoken deal in America, you know. You work your butt off, you do what you're supposed to do, and life will be a little bit better for your kids. Yeah, that promise has been smashed into a million pieces. The young people don't trust the old people, and the old people don't even recognize the world they built. What we're seeing right now is a total breakdown of trust between generations, and it's way more dangerous than some stock market crash. Boomers and Gen X put in decades of work, climbing the ladder, buying into a system that actually used to reward you for sticking with it. But for us millennials and for you Gen Z guys, we're inheriting a mountain of student debt over $1.75 trillion and a housing market so insane that the average down payment would take more than 12 years to save up for. And all while our jobs are getting gobbled up by AI. And yeah, of course we're mad. We're completely over it. We've had to listen to the generation that bought houses for $60,000 that are now worth $700,000 tell us to just stop buying avocado toast and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. But it's not even just about the money, it's the feeling of being totally gaslit. They call us entitled while we're working 2 jobs just to rent a tiny apartment for $2,300 a month, all while holding a college degree that's basically a very expensive piece of paper. But look, the older folks feel betrayed. 2, they did everything they were told, saved up, and then watched their pensions disappear. Their Social Security check is barely enough to keep the lights on, and the kids they raise look at them like they're greedy dragons hoarding all the gold. It's just nasty all around. Thanksgiving dinner is now a political minefield. Every conversation is tense. You can just feel the anger bubbling under every back in my day, or you just don't understand. And this whole family feud is exactly what the powers that be want. Because when we're all fighting with each other, we're not demanding real change. But when generations don't think they're on the same team anymore, society doesn't just stall, it shatters. It means our parents are terrified we won't be able to take care of them. It means young people like you have no reason to want to save any of this. And when nobody feels like they have a stake in the future, nobody bothers to build one. That's how things fall apart from the inside. Not with some big war, but with broken trust between parents and kids who stop believing the other side even cares if they make it. And number 1, there is no obvious way out of this mess. And that's the scariest collapse of all. What makes right now so terrifying isn't just the insane prices or the broken systems or all the debt. It's this paralyzing feeling of confusion, this overwhelming sense that there's no path forward, that every door is a brick wall. You can see it everywhere, man, not just in spreadsheets but in people's faces. That dead-eyed look at the grocery store, that quiet panic people have. Millions of us know that nothing is working, but nobody has a clue what to do about it. Okay, so leave the city. It's way too expensive. Great. Move to the country where there are zero jobs. Try to start a business. You'll be drowned in taxes and regulations. Change your career? Sure. Pick an industry that's either shrinking, consolidating, or getting outsourced to a robot. Retire early. With what money? Work until you die. Your body will give out. Even the whole doomsday prepping thing, which used to be the backup plan, is too expensive now. You used to be able to stock up on supplies for an emergency. Now a giant bag of rice costs more than my car payment. And every single time you feel like you're finally getting a tiny bit ahead, life just drop kicks you. Your insurance premiums go up, you get a surprise medical bill, the fridge breaks, a relative needs money, your car dies, the landlord jacks up the rent again. It's just constant. And the absolute worst part is that the people in charge are walking around acting like everything is just peachy. The government says unemployment is low. The Fed says inflation is under control. The news tells you it's all normal. But your gut is screaming the truth at you. This is not normal. This is what it feels like when a system is so fundamentally broken that it's just permanent. And that's why people are just giving up. Quietly, slowly. They're not protesting in the streets. They're just canceling their dentist appointments. They're not writing angry letters. They're just not answering their phone. They're not yelling about it, just whispering to their spouse at 2 a.m. How are we ever going to get out of this? So, you want to know the final level of this whole adulting scam? It's when you run out of ideas. You just stop looking for a way out, not because you're an idiot, but because you tried all the cheat codes and every single one just leads you back to the same boss fight, crippling exhaustion. And if you're feeling that already, welcome to the club. The game isn't just hard, it's broken. This whole system wasn't designed for us. It's like it's running on Windows 95, but with more debt. The real disaster isn't some big Mad Max-style riot, it's the millions of us just quietly doom-scrolling, totally convinced there's no winning move left. That's not the collapse coming, buddy, we're in it. We're just living in the long, awkward silence after the punchline of a really bad joke. And when your boomer uncle complains that the country he built is disappearing, he's not losing his mind. He's just finally looking at the price tag. The worst part of this whole mess isn't even that rent is insane or that avocados cost a fortune. It's the total silence. Nobody's giving you a heads up, and there's no superhero flying in to fix it. And for a whole generation of us who did everything right, that's the real gut punch. You got the degree. You worked the unpaid internships. You did the whole song and dance. And now the prize is getting to accept less. Less cash, less stability, and way less freedom. All while some billionaire is buying his own island and the people in charge tell you to just budget better. Spoiler alert, it's not fine. So if this rant is hitting a little too close to home, don't just zone out. Actually pay attention. I'm just telling you what no one else will. You gotta learn how to get ready for the next ridiculous plot twist, because there's always one. And for real, ask your friends how their lives have changed in the last 5 years. If we all just keep pretending this is normal, this slow-motion train wreck becomes permanent, and the American dream you heard about in school, yeah, that's not making a comeback.